Good day everyone, I'm Jessamay Atchas and I'm the next reporter. By the way, mag-audio record lang ako kasi I can't make it mag-video record sa aking self using only my phone. Anyway, my topic is about the importance of language in doing anthropological fieldwork. We know already that a language is a communication tool between friends, family, communities, society, organizations, cultural groups, and countries. So if we have knowledge of that language, it is advantage to provide speaker with an outlook about his surroundings and give him the means to portray his thoughts to others. Nowadays, English without a doubt considered a universal language, mainly because it is the most spoken language. While anthropological, it is connected with the study of the human race, especially its origins, development, customs, and belief. So let's proceed to the next slide. How do an anthropologist study cultures? Anthropologists study cultures. So we have here the fieldwork. Fieldwork is the term anthropologists use for on-location research. It is a process of observing and collecting data about peoples, cultures, natural environment. Fieldwork is the most important method by which cultural anthropologists gather data to answer their research questions. A main component of fieldwork is participant observation, the technique of learning a people's cultures through direct participation in their everyday life over an extended period of time. Next, participant observation. Research concerning the cultures and languages of contemporary societies is for the most part conducted in the field. Exposure of anthropologists to the societies or communities they wish to study is usually not only prolonged, lasting at several months and frequently a full year, but also repeated once accepted by a crew of anthropologists tend to return for follow-up research. The immersion of anthropological field workers for an extended period in the day-to-day activities of the people whom they study is referred to as participant observation. So meaning a method where researchers choose to live directly in the cultural group they are studying. By living and immersing oneself within a culture for a long period of time, participant observation allows anthropologists to get deeper into the complexity of culture. So next is to be able to communicate in their own language with the people under study is very helpful to the anthropologists. Lacking such skills, the anthropologists must rely on interpreters who, no matter how eager they are to help, may unwittingly simplify or distort what is being said by those who supply cultural or linguistic data. Because members of a society who are fluent in languages are sometimes culturally marginal people. They should be selected with care. Individuals who have adapted to or borrow many traits from another culture could have lost a substantial number of traits from their own. So, it's very important to anthropologists to know the language of their conducting study. Super helpful ni para sa kanila. Kaya, if you don't know their language, you spend long period of time talaga sa lugar na iyong istadihan. Even if you have a translator man yun, different pa rin if direct ang message na mapupunta sa iyo. Kasi hindi natin alam if the message na ginarelay sa iyo is tumpak ba jud siya. Baka kasi may bawas na ito or dagdag, is just like that. Next, the availability of someone who can communicate with anthropologists does excuse the researcher from needing to become acquainted with the language of the group. The knowledge of a language serves the anthropologists as an invaluable tool for gaining an informed understanding of the many aspects of the cultures, for example, enabling the researchers to judge the relative standing of members of a community on the basis of how they address one another. So, language, Jude, is so very important in doing anthropological fieldwork because culture and language are inextricably linked, meaning extremely close kayo sila. Cannot separate jud ang culture and language. You can't understand man jud easily ilaha culture without first learning sa ilang language. Next, Bronislaw Malinowski. Bronislaw Malinowski is one of the pioneering who used participant observation. I have here his brief background about his early life and education. Bronislaw Malinowski was born in Krakow, Poland in 1884. Krakow, Poland in 1884. He grew up in a wealthy family of intellectuals. His father was a professor of Slavic languages at the Jagiellonian University. Malinowski was educated at the same university, where he studied philosophy and mathematics before turning to anthropology. After receiving his undergraduate degree, he moved to England where he studied in the London of economics. Next, Bronislaw Malinowski's career in anthropology. His career as an anthropologist spanned several decades. His pioneering use of participant observation and ethnography in field research revolutionized the way that anthropologists studied human societies. Malinowski's most famous work is his study of the Trobriand Islanders, published in his book Argonauts of the Western Pacific in year 1922. In this work, he detailed the social organization, economic practices, and religious beliefs of the Trobriand Islanders, using ethnographic descriptions based on his first-hand observations during his stay on the islands. For more information about Malinowski, Malinowski was a groundbreaking anthropologist who is widely regarded as the father of field research. Why? Due to his innovative participant observation and ethnography. Next, next slide is fieldwork. Malinowski in his fieldwork, for example, his famous work study the Trobriand Islanders. So Malinowski stay on the island on a long period of time because it's needed to gather information. Because it's not possible man yun na you gather information in a short period of time, especially na you don't know their bilingual language. That's why language judge is very important in doing anthropological field work. Next, participant observation. Living as closely as possible to the people whose culture is under study. Participation in the lives of the people being studied. So you live to the place where you conduct study. Like what Malinowski do in the Trobriand Islanders is spend a long period of time to socialize with other people. By doing that, nakaanam-anam siya gather information. So try to think no that's why they consider put siya as a father of field research because of his dedication. Next slide is fieldwork is risky because we face our own vulnerability. Next, we face the shock of the unfamiliar. So, fieldwork is risky because try to think no na you have to spend more time on the place na you don't have any idea what's going on there. If that place ba is safety for you, possible man jud na maka-encounter kag individual na nagating bitaw nga you only cause naga only cause kag kanang harm from them. So, grabe na, I can say lang na brave kaayo ang mga anthropologists. Next slide is about cultural shock. Panic that develops when anthropologist or a traveler goes to an unfamiliar place or society and cannot understand what is happening around them. So here, um, grabe ang kanang adjustment. Some of adjustment you might feel when you are subject to a new way of living in a familiar setting around you. First, you feel uncomfortable, Jud. So, so almost anthropologists just always experience jud sila og kanang mga culture shock every time nga they are on the field work since he spend ano doon more period of time. So nagaano sila, new na sad ang way of living nila, and then daghan kay silang mga unfamiliar settings na naga-around sa kanila. So that's all. Um, they experience cultural shock. Next is ethnocentrism. So ethnocentrism, the opinion that one's own way of life is natural or correct, and indeed is the only true way of being fully human. So here is the belief that the ways of one's own culture are the only proper ones. So this means that individuals who are ethnocentric believe that their own culture, values, and beliefs are the only correct ones, and that all other cultures are inferior. Did you know, classmates, that there are still people na don't wear clothes? They don't wear clothes. In Nigeria, the tribe of Koma, the women there do not wear clothes. Their belief manju that if the women wear clothes, they would incur the wrath of the gods, which may lead to their death or burn. So, so naniniwala sila na kapag ang babae ay magwe-wear ng clothes, ang Diyos daw ay magagalit at ito ay maglilid ng kamatayan or kabaugan. Yan ang kanilang paniniwala. And their men there is nakabahag and the women is yun nga, they don't wear any clothes. Next is cultural relativism. To try and understand the other culture in its own terms sympathetically enough that the culture appears to be a coherent and meaningful design for living. So, for example, here, so cultural relativism, anyway, cultural relativism tries to counter ethnocentrism by promoting the understanding of cultural practices that are unfamiliar to other cultures, such as eating and sex. So, for example naman here, the common practice of same-sex friends in India, walking in a public while holding hands. So, sa India naman, ang kanilang cultural practice, for example lang, one example is that ang lalaki, ang male and male sa kanila, or women to women, normal lang sa kanila or gina-practice nila ang pag-holding hands sa public. Yes, that's their practice. Ang kanilang lalaki is naga-holding hands sa public while walking. Yes, ganyan ang kanilang practice doon. So, to sum up, language is so very, very, very important, especially in doing anthropological field work, because you use that to communicate to others. Beside from that, culture and language jud can't separate jud siya. Kaya you can't understand easily man jud ilahang culture without first learning their language. So that's all about my report. Thank you for listening. God bless.